Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Accidental Thoughts. I'm Jason.
I will be Jimmy today.
He's going to be Jimmy today. He's not a
Just
Tic Tac
today.
or
And
a size
today
snack.
only.
That's kind of scary that you're going to be yourself today, knowing how you are.
Yeah. I don't want, if I keep being me every day, then it's like, it's anticipated. I mean, people are like, that's who he is. I don't want to be that person. I want to be,
Exactly.
different.
Exactly.
But did you know, quick start out here. Did you know what today is?
No.
Today,
It's Monday.
Are you ready for this? Today is Tortilla Chip Day.
Dang, and we ate pork loin. Oh, well.
Yeah, I know. It sucks.
I'll get over it.
I can tell you right now, though, I'm waiting for Thursday and Friday because Thursday
What's Thursday
is
and Friday?
no-brainer day. That's going to come in handy.
Huh? What?
You're celebrating early today, aren't you, buddy?
Yeah. What?
And Friday
Food coma.
is public sleeping day.
Lord have mercy. Public sleeping day, huh?
Public sleeping day. I saw that and I was like, who comes up with this crap? Anyway, but Jason, do you know what time of season this is? Do you know what time of season this is?
No idea. What time of season is it? It's in between
season,
Phil
baby.
and spring. I know that.
Tax season. Yeah.
Don't remind.
I wonder what Phil would have projected for that.
Hopefully, the same thing that a lot of us are projecting in the next couple of years or so, and
a
that's
translation
that
book.
The IRS will go away. Looking at the national debt clock, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But I've got the live debt clock running in the background right now on the other screen. We are at 36 trillion, or 36.5 trillion debt as a country, which comes out to per citizen $107,290 or $107,298, and it comes out to per taxpayer to $323,047 currently. That's how much each of us owes this debt.
What if you decided at a certain moment that you just wanted to, pony up the dough to take yourself off this list? They wouldn't allow it, would it? They'd probably say, no.
I don't think they'd allow it, but I don't know about you, but I don't have $323,000+ laying
I don't
around.
either. If I did, I probably wouldn't be here doing this. Even then.
Now, currently on the Doge clock, which is the savings they're finding.
What are you dozing about?
We're at 133 billion with a B dollars, almost 133.5 billion dollars on the Doge clock already. However, U.S. federal spending is at 7 trillion plus already this year. And there's an official and an actual. And the federal budget deficit, and this is what they're aiming for in Doge, the deficit is 2 trillion, 5 billion.
You know what I heard?
And a whole bunch of change.
I just heard
more money than you and I'll see in a lifetime.
No, I won't see it. I won't see nothing. I'm lucky I ever find my wallet. No, much less that. I mean,
you'll get no taxes on overtime from now on, though. So,
yeah,
if that finally gets to Congress.
As I strive to not do overtime because I don't get time and a half for it, but
yeah,
that's neither here nor there. But anyway,
not to mention, they mandate a 30-minute break.
Yeah. You know better than that.
But you can drive between your two locations on your break. That's okay.
You know better than that. Shame on you.
Yep. Inside joke there, folks. Today on our weekly conference call, I kind of called out a fallacy. But we won't get into that.
I was sitting here earlier when me and you had discussed earlier about the fact of, taxes and, the possibility if they ever did abolish it or anything like that. one thing that I did
Yep.
turn up, which was really kind of interesting to me, very much interesting to me,
Right.
since the 1913. Since 1913, I looked up the facts on tax rates per class. At that time, there were only basically 3 different classes. Now today there's 6, which is crazy. Today, the highest tax percentage that the highest, paid people, like the, Zuckerberg and stuff like that, there's just 37%, that they're
Oh, yeah.
taxed. But you ought to, when you go back, I went back to 1913 and it showed how lower income was 1%, but the higher rate was 7%. But the biggest, craziest differential ever was in 1944. Okay. In 1944, okay. Yeah. The low income, you paid 3%. We paid like 3%. When you had the Rockefellers and stuff, they paid 94% tax rate. And it's like, so do you really think you got it all that bad now? Can you imagine?
Well,
God,
the other side of that was they owned all the
that's
banks.
true.
They owned all the money
That's
institutions.
true.
So
They
they
did.
could literally just print it and hand it over, except for the
Exactly.
fact that it was tied to gold back then. But as
Right.
we know, the Rockefeller family
Right.
was very well tied into finances and financial systems. My understanding is they had something to do with the inception of taxes, even.
Right.
So they are the ones who tax themselves in that respect.
Right. What was weird, what got me though, because I went back to 1913, okay? And I wasn't worried about the high end of it because I don't exist there, okay?
Right.
So I was looking at basically the low end of it. Basically, from 1913, most of the time it was like 1%, 3%, 8%, 4%, 3%, until you get to 1965. In 1965 to 1981, ours, me and you,
Yeah.
our tax rate was 70%.
Yep.
From
It
65 to 81.
still equates to about that when you figure out not just the federal income tax,
Well,
but
now
all
our
the
tax
other
rate
taxes
now
on
is, again,
well,
it says
federal.
10%
Yeah.
for the lowest end, but even then,
We're somewhere in
70%, man. It
in
went
my
from 1
household, we're
year,
somewhere
3
at
to
32.
70. That's insanity.
Yep. We're
I
somewhere
mean,
about 32 to 40% of our income in my household when I
yeah,
file the taxes.
yeah.
And
I
it's
don't know
just,
what mine
it's
is.
ridiculous
I know.
that, all this waste and fraud's being found. And, there are those out there that doubt that, but they have the stuff up on Doge.gov.
Right,
Go read.
right,
They're showing the contracts they're canceling. They're showing
right.
where they can't trace money. And it's like, I'm of the mind at this point, I don't want to pay taxes ever again. I'm sick of
But
this
if that were the
system.
case, what would you, if you didn't pay taxes? Okay. Of course, again, our federal tax here in the United States basically took place back during the Civil War. Okay. That's when it was actually institutionalized for everybody and everything else. But the purpose behind it was for the purpose
No,
of, your government
it was a
officials, it was for your
voluntary.
road work, your police
Yes,
officers, things of that nature. Okay.
yes. But
But,
the federal tax was also voluntary
right,
back when it was instituted up until about 1914 or so.
right. But the thing is, think of it this way, okay? You don't have it. Let's say you don't have it. It's not as if there's not funding already for these other things. There is funding, but this is basically a helping hand in this process in the process here. What else would you have? I mean, you think about it. I mean, I don't know. I just don't see. The roads already suck as much as they do already. If we take
Well,
that away,
because
it's
do
like,
you think they're
man.
honestly spending those federal dollars on the roads?
Yeah.
That's the problem. Is they're not. It's a money laundering operation at this point because
Right.
our government in Washington, and this is just isn't the Democrat side. It's the rhinos too and the Republicans.
Right.
They have been stealing our tax dollars forever,
Yeah.
and it's hopefully many people don't understand. This is what we voted to curb and get rid of was the bloat and the fat and the fraud and the waste and the outright theft of our tax dollars. I think
You know,
most of us, I can't speak for a lot of people, but I can speak for me. I don't mind paying taxes if it's going to our roads to actually fix them. I don't
right.
mind paying taxes if it's going to fund our military and
Right.
our institutions that need to be funded. We don't need to be putting on Sesame Street in the middle of Afghanistan for them. Let their country pay for that.
So,
Let their country pay for condoms in Mozambique,
right.
stuff like that. It's ridiculous the amount of money we send over to other countries,
Oh yeah.
and it's all off the blood, sweat, and tears off our fingers and our backs, and not any of these people sitting up in Washington.
All right. But the thing is,
And
as much as we sit here and we say that, that it's us, that we do, we do, we do, we do, we do. But
yep,
in essence, it's not everything. I mean, we don't do everything. I mean, we claim it and we try. I mean, I can see that, and
yeah,
I personally, I really do believe that the world was made for a whole different purpose. It was a whole purpose of sharing and getting along and uniting, and it's gotten to the point where here we all sit, I'm bigger than you,
yep,
or I'm tougher than you, or I'm this, or I'm that, or whatever. And I mean, there's a lot of things out there that are just totally blown out of the water that don't need to happen. I mean, you know, like, okay, the money that was spent that we're sitting here talking about, tax dollars, the money that was spent for the Ukraine Russian war deal, that to me was excessively blown over. And I know me and you both have talked about it in the past and about what was done and what is there and what's going on, and we even know about what's been going on here recently with Trump saying the things
exactly,
that he said. We know all that, and we also know
yep,
about the fact of the money that was spent in processes that in Ukraine, by the way, that was almost enough to make you just get even that much more upset with where your tax dollar goes,
right,
because it's like, are you kidding me?
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
No, I mean
if Doge is looking
we
for
rebuilt
stuff here, what if they went there and looked how it was being spent?
exactly, and
That
I think it's been pretty evident that they're actually going after Zelensky. I think is his name.
yeah, Zelensky, yeah,
They're going after him for repayment of that 200 billion or so
good
that we
luck,
gave him. And well, no, believe it or not, what they got going on right now. Now Zelensky says he won't sign it, but I don't see what choice he has. We actually have support from other countries,
right,
including France, and the prime minister in France is very liberal, but he's
right,
even saying, yeah, the U.S. is going to get them to sign a
right,
mineral rights agreement, which honestly, that's part of the whole reason this war started.
right,
If we're being honest, is that
exactly.
because there are valuable things in Ukraine that America wants. There's valuable things in
Occupation, or
Ukraine
was
that
it?
the
How do
rest
you
of the
say it?
world wants.
Yeah.
Hmm?
What's that? Occupation is 9/10 of the law, or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, not occupation, but yeah, being the person that holds on to it is nine. I can't see
Yeah,
it
you're
now.
stuck
I
in
can
the
think as
same boat I
occupation.
am. Like, what was that
Mm-hmm.
phrase? Crap.
But the whole thing is, taxes were made mandatory,
Right,
and you hear a lot of talk about this in creators online and whatnot.
right,
At least the circles that I follow that do their research. February 25th, 1913, 16th Amendment was actually made into law, and that's the amendment that says they can levy taxes on us and on both corporate and individual income.
Right.
The problem is with abolishing the IRS is that the government still has the right to do that with or without the IRS.
That's true.
Thing is, there's a certain amount of taxes I think every American, after all the anger dies down from all the waste and everything that's being cut out right now,
Right.
when we find out we're just financing our military, our police, firefighters, stuff like that,
Right.
I think people are going to calm down. I think people are going to go, oh, well, my tax bracket went from 32 to 40% down to 10 to 15%. So you're getting half of your taxes back as non-taxable income. And the there's actually 3 bills in Congress right now.
Right.
One of them being the one that covers no tax on Social Security.
Right.
So when you get Social Security, it can't be taxed again.
Right.
Another one, and I don't remember the HR bills that these are, so I apologize to our listeners on that. You'll have to go do your own research on that. But I do know that there are 3 separate bills in Congress right now. One is to abolish the tax on Medicare. One is to abolish the tax on overtime.
Right.
And the third one is to abolish the IRS altogether and create at the same time the ERS, or the External Revenue Service, which will go after the tariffs that are going into place. Now, you go back to before they ratified the 16th Amendment. We were on a tariff system.
Right.
And our country prospered on this because of the limited size of government.
But you got to understand, it may have been a limited size of government, but it was also, what is the ratio of population then to now? I mean,
well, that I don't know, but I can tell you, we were just going into World War I about that time, were we not?
But I mean, that's
so.
I mean, you take that into consideration because of the fact that the country's grown since then, and because the population now, I think, if I'm mistaken, it's like 350 million or something now here in the United States. Yeah, something like that. And back in 41, whatever
1913.
Yeah.
Yep. 1913. There was 97 million plus.
Okay. So basically, roughly
of
around a third.
The previous year. Yep.
So that's, supply and demand. I mean, you can't get around that. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, but let's face it. If you have 20 people paying 10%, or you have 100 people paying 4%, you're getting the same amount of money.
That possibly too. But at the same time, when they're paying that percentage, what are you using? What are you taking? What are you? I mean, what do you? You know, it's the usage of it all.
Well,
I mean,
our founding fathers founded this country based on a 1% tea tax.
Mm-hmm.
So we're at 43%, roughly average for your average middle class family making under 200 grand a year.
Agree. But I can tell you.
So,
do you honestly really think it's going to happen, though? I don't.
I don't think we'll ever get rid of a complete taxing system. But if you look at it, about that same time that they instituted this was when our federal bank took over and started printing money.
Yeah,
but
just
they
because
were tied
they
to
could.
Gold. The inflation and all that didn't really take off till the 70s when they took us off the gold standard and were able to just print, bills
like a copy
at will.
Machine. Shing,
exactly, literally. Hey, I'm going to give you some new serial numbers here. Go ahead and take a.
Gotcha. I mean, yeah, that's when it got crazy.
Exactly. That's when it got crazy. It was in the 70s, and that's why now your kid and mine can't go out on a normal job, a single job, and build a career and buy a home and support a family like you and I are from the quote unquote older money. that we've earned growing up in a better time. And I understand much of this younger generation's adversity to that. However, I think this is going to get them back to at least where we got our start and were able to get a house and get affordable groceries and stuff like that. Do I think
I still
we'll get
can't get my
much
head
lower
wrapped around the
gas-wise
fact
than we
of
are right now?
how they did it before me, the generations before us. You know, I
Well,
mean,
they lived before the 70s. They lived. You think about it. 1955, Dad worked from home where you had family farmers,
right,
and at that time they were bringing in the Industrial Revolution and stuff
right,
like that, and they were actually bringing out the fathers from the home, which meant then mom had to do the farm work.
right,
So you technically had two people working. One was growing your food at home,
right.
and the other was going down to the factory and making a quote unquote livable wage at the time. And your average new truck in the mid 80s, brand new F 150, cost all of $5,000.
Right.
And we're talking like the Lariat models back then.
Right.
So you could get a Lariat for probably up to $8,000 with all the bells and whistles that were available at the time.
Today,
A lot of what's happened
10 times
today, my truck that's sitting out in the driveway is a $70,000 truck, and it's nothing super special. It is a hybrid, which is a newer technology, but
yeah.
other than that, it's a truck. You know, it's a work truck.
Deficit.
It already has dents. It already has dents in it, and it's not even a year old. You know, but it's mostly the inflationary problem has been since we came off the gold standard,
Right.
and in that time, when they came off the gold standard and went to the petrodollar, which is what we're on currently, which is why drill baby drill works. If we're producing more gas, we're creating more income because it's federally taxed per gallon. Right. And we don't notice that much. We do nowadays. Like when you and I were 18, gas was $97 a gallon for premium. You know, and then they started the biggest, most costly scam of our lifetime is the green movement.
Yeah.
In all honesty, when it comes to taxing.
Oh, don't even get me
because
started on that crap.
It was a way for them to garner more money out of your paycheck and mine,
Yeah.
whether it be at the gas pump, whether it be buying groceries that are organic. Last time I checked, all plants are organic. I know it has to do with the pesticides and whatnot they use, but I'll let you know, arsenic is freaking organic, and it can still kill you, and will.
I just, so there is to me, there is just too many things where, we as people have involved ourselves into, controlling, and we're supposed to be, we should be, but not to the point where it's, everything. I mean, I told you today, but the taxes deal about, on a boat motor, and then, what's next? The weed eater, what's next? My lawnmower, what's next?
How many states did you say actually require you to register your boat motor separate from
I think
your
five or seven or something like that?
5 states.
I think something like that.
Okay, so those of you out there listening, listen to this, because I know there's a couple of you from other states and grew up in other states and whatnot. In Texas, when you buy a John boat, which you have to buy the motor separately, understandable,
right?
But you can't register them as a boat unit. But you buy a new ski boat, that boat and motor is integrated, and it is a whole unit.
Correct.
And then, of course, your trailer is separate, which makes sense. Your trailer's a road vehicle, your boat's a water vehicle.
Correct.
But on a John boat, apparently, Jimmy has found out,
you got to have 3 different ones.
You have to have a title for the trailer. You have to have a title for the hull or the John boat itself. Yep. And then you have to have a title now on the motor. And
that apparently this law has been in
effect since the early 2000s here in Texas. And it's not issued when you buy the motor because most states don't do it.
No, Johnson, Mercury, all these boats do not make a title for the motor. When you register it, you have to get, So what's next? They're going to, I got this brand new Craftsman mower over here. Titles in the mail. What the crap?
As we well know, they banned gasoline engines in the state of California for green.
Do you really think that'll stay, though? I mean, do you think that's going to stay?
I think if they get rid of Newsom, it'll go away.
Yeah.
Problem is, the way their elections are run in California, they're going to have to really do some major work to overcome the cheating system there.
Where's my cord? Okay.
The other part of that is, I mean, look, we go back to the taxes situation, though. Look,
I love
speaking
taxes.
Speaking of California, look at all the money we, the taxpayers, paid for them to say Trump's horrible and Biden's smart.
Yeah.
In the last 4 years.
Right.
It's got to stop. People need to be held accountable or it will happen again. And, you know, this isn't me calling Trump a great man. This isn't me calling Trump anything that he isn't. This is what we, the people, hired him to do.
Right.
And he's doing, unlike any other politician in my lifetime, he's actually trying to fulfill his promises. Just like he did in his first term, he tried to fulfill
social media in the process.
Exactly. Well, and the difference this time, though, is you notice because he is essentially, and this is the truth because it's his second term, he can't have another. He's a lame duck president. He doesn't have to worry about re-election this time.
Right.
Because he's been re-elected.
He can let it all hang out, baby. He can let it all hang out.
He can literally, let it all hang out. Yep. Kick everybody's ass all up and down Washington and all across the country and not have to worry about getting reelected. The downside of that is, though, he has to make sure that the kicking ass he does actually does some good for the country. Because if he doesn't, then everything's just going to revert back to the way it was, other than what gets written into law between now and then.
Right.
So
it's just like everything else. I mean, it's whether or not that, you know, we stick to it. And I mean, you know, he gets us 4 years. And when that's over with, I mean, who's next? I mean, it is what it is. Let's just take it day by day. Work the problem out as you go. And I agree.
Yep.
You know, what he's doing right now, he is actually basically, he is grabbing skeletons in the closet by the throat and dripping them out and just showing it to everybody and saying, you know, now, you see what's going on here? And it doesn't matter if he has, you know, Elon standing there. It doesn't matter who he's got standing there. It's the fact of, you know, it's a validation. It's almost a sense of here's a witness. Okay, this is what you got. This is what you see. And it's like, okay. And there are going to be those that are going to say that what he's doing is better. And there is going to be those that are going to say what he's doing is
going to cry and whine
tyrannical, or whatever they want to call it. That's up to them. That's up to everybody. But at the same time, what you read at the very beginning, at the end of the day, it's which way that number goes. And if, you know, in a matter of a couple months, not even a full couple months, that the government has spent X amount of dollars already to, you know, that Doge has said this is what they've done or whatever. Their goal is to basically limit. Their goal is to basically utilize. Their goal is to basically, you know, prioritize and not be so frivolous where we have stood in the past, just, you know, like we left the light on it at Halloween and kids are trick or treat and coming just jerking everything out of our bag, man. I mean, it just sucks.
Yep. And that's been what's happening with this government as long as you and I have been alive. They've been coming up to our door saying your light's on and we're here to collect.
Yeah. We want your stuff. You want the good stuff, you stingy.
Exactly. And we're going, but that's my candy, you know?
But I turned that light off.
That light never came on. It burned out years ago
because of how much y'all are that thing. What the hell?
Exactly.
Where did that bulb come from?
The bottom line, any of y'all out there worried about what's going on with Doge, and are calling
Doge, you worry about
N-words and they're doging their job. One, the department itself was created at the very latest with Obama and his
Right.
department he created,
Right.
an internet creation, and at best casing goes back to Clinton
Right.
and the Rego squad and the BRAC and all that. They cut jobs like crazy, and nobody whined. Why? Because it wasn't Donald John Trump doing it. If Biden had come out during his term, I'd be cheering him on had he done this during his term. If Clinton had done it more during his term, I give Clinton the credit he deserves for balancing the budget. You and I have talked about that many times over the years, that he actually was one of the few presidents to balance budget, but I didn't agree with how he did. He made our military weaker, closed our bases, stuff like that. But the thing is, he did it.
Right.
And I cheered the fact that he actually took the time and the effort to do so. Nowadays, it seems like we've got such a divide between them and us that comes from the TV and the media more than it does from the facts of what's actually going on.
So just make sure you all pay your taxes, file your taxes, donate your money.
No. Does your
Don't
job,
make them come over and
give
knock
me
on
my
your
money
door.
back. Who are you kidding? When they come for you, they don't knock.
No.
Don't ask me how I know.
Yeah. That explains him calling me and asking me, you know this hairy troll name? No, I don't know him. Never seen him before in my life.
Yeah, no, he wasn't hairy until this year. This is my anti-tax beard. No.
There's a lot of anti there. I can promise you that.
Exactly.
Anti-beautiful.
Youth.
Yeah.
A lot of
anti-beautiful. Yeah.
Those of you out here telling Jimmy who's the old man. Yes, I am older than him, but only by a couple months.
Oh, you got to give up the
This
gig,
is the difference
man.
a beard makes. Just take a look.
Yeah. 3 dang months.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes me feel better or make you feel worse, because I'm just saying, man, I wasn't going to give you up like that.
I don't care. You are how you feel, and I feel old because I'm sitting here complaining about taxes on a podcast. When you were young, did you ever think about it, man? You were like, I'm going to get a refund.
Yeah.
And now it's like, crap, I hope I don't owe money.
Yeah. That's the only thing I ever pray for. But as long as I don't owe money, I don't care.
As long as I don't owe anymore, and I've already, the other stuff, I didn't miss it because it was taken before I ever saw it. Yep. With that, though, that's all the time we got for tonight's episode. Maybe we'll dive again into this subject with a little more information and a lot less education.
Yeah, a little more, a little more slanging of the monkey stuff.
Of the Doge. Anyway, thank you again for joining us at Accidental Thoughts. Leave us comments, like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know how we're doing. We'll talk to you soon. I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy.
Have a blessed night.